Hello. How are you all doing? Happy Equinox. Welcome. So great to see you all here. We are right in the middle of eclipse season right now. We're between the solar and the lunar eclipse, and we're on the equinox. So I thought this was an important time to connect. The equinox, equal day, equal night, is there's an equinox whether you're in the northern or southern hemisphere. So whichever way we're going, this is a wonderful midpoint for us all to reconnect to the balance between spirit and body. The balance between the emotions and the mind. How much in our life are we allowing to happen? And how much are we being intentional with? And it's sort of an interesting checkpoint if you want to go by the axiom of astrology, as above, so below, because this is ultimately a time to come into an equilibrium internally and feel that balance within yourself. And also, it's the time between the lunar eclipse and the solar. So a lot's going on. Shall we talk about all of that? All right, I have somebody coming over the apartment soon. A friend is coming over to help me go through the closet to get rid of stuff because it's Mercury retrograde, Venus retrograde. So we clear out old things. I just thought I'd hop on for a little bit before she arrives, and then I can hop on more after. Though, let's just talk about this moment that we're in, though, the midpoint between the lunar and the solar and on the equinox. So about a week ago, we had a lunar eclipse in Virgo. Now, it's affecting everybody, every member of planet Earth, all of humanity, the plant kingdom, the mineral kingdom, the human, animal. It affects us all, right? The lunar eclipse is something that impacts all consciousness. And because the full moon lunar eclipse is in Virgo, it's shining a light on the concept of health. And when I say the word health, what do you think of? Do you think of getting sick? What we want to think of here is like the music of your life, the fabric of your day, the routines, the livelihood, all of the things you do that ultimately constitute the song of your life. Your health. What is the cadence? What is the rhythm? How do you move through reality? And if that becomes too staccato over a long period of time, we get sick, right? If we move too fast, too short, too jerky for a while. And, alternatively, any extreme in any direction ultimately lands in the body. So what we're all asked to look at right now, collectively, is how we're taking care of being in a body, the sign of Virgo. So another thing to note is this eclipse, the ruler of it is Mercury, and Mercury is going retrograde. And what that means is that there is a need collectively for us all to go back and tend to something on this eclipse that we had not tended to before. And for so many people, there are health issues coming up. And I would say this is probably an excellent time for a cleanse. You might do a heavy metal detox. You might do any kind of parasite cleanse or whatever sort of juice cleanse, but it is a great time for cleansing after a full moon, and especially after a full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo. Plus Mercury and Venus are retrograde. This is a whole lot of space dust flying around without any sense of direction. So do you need to have a sense of direction right now? Absolutely not. But what is perhaps a good meditation right now is an empty cup. And perhaps you can imagine that for this lunar eclipse, like in your mind's eye, between the lunar and the solar, you can think of an empty cup, right? And you can also sort of consider what, first of all, what do you might see starts, you might see anxieties or fears or anything like that start to fill the cup. Just start to kind of pour them out in your mind's eye. As you see things come up in the cup, you might just start to let them go slowly, one by one. And continue to meditate on this cup for the lunar eclipse, this empty cup, and start to fill it with light. You don't even have to ask for anything else to enter it. But perhaps you are just keeping it empty and keeping it filled with light right now. Because another thing that is so key for this eclipse is discernment. For you to be so absolutely discerning moving forward as to what you let into your life. What will you invite in on this lunar eclipse? After the lunar, I mean, when there's a solar. So right now, keeping the bowl empty, keeping the cup empty in front of you is key. Allowing yourself to be present in that space, in that emptiness and nothingness. Mercury and Venus are working hard to kind of, they're going backwards through your life right now. And they're loosening the sediment at the bottom of the ocean. They're loosening things that, doors you had left open, things left unsaid, undone. They're loosening all that up. So like you shake up the Christmas ball and all the sediment comes up. So this is why I'm saying a detox is very good right now. You don't need to plan a lot. You need to focus on there being clear pathways of detoxification in your life. It's also a good time for infrared sauna, if you can do that, or just to run, sweating, stretching, clearing out. Perhaps it's sitting in silence. Who here feels that the platelets, the tectonic plates beneath you are moving a lot right now and nothing is stable? Does anybody feel that? I mean, collectively, we can surely see that, right? That's happening on the world stage. Hey, Tamarin. Let's also think about this for the lunar eclipse, between the lunar and the solar right now, that a lunar eclipse is about the moon, right? So it's when it goes like this. It's sun, earth, moon. The earth is in the center, right? And the moon gets darkened, this darker red shade. So a lunar eclipse speaks to the feminine and speaks to what has been hidden, what has been buried perhaps in the emotional bodies. So they're often more emotional than solar eclipses. And there are often times when you also hear women's voices more. That's really important during this time of a lunar eclipse. Now, it is a bit of a release. It is a letting go of things that have been buried in closets, under surfaces, under the ground. So your job, your only job right now, is to make sure that things get released. Whether they're things you need to say, toxins in your body, you need to sweat. This is a time of letting go. Now 1 week from now, on March 29th, we will be in a solar eclipse. And that solar eclipse sets the stage. It's in Aries. It sets the stage for the year in many ways. Now, that solar eclipse is going to be very much tied up with Chiron, which we'll talk about more later. But a solar eclipse works like this. So we have sun, moon, and earth. Essentially, what happens in a solar eclipse is that the sun, first of all, the sun in the center of our solar system is a radio station, in essence. It is a star, and the star of our sun has a unique frequency and intelligence that is encoded in its light. All right, you're all still with me? So the sun shines its light, it broadcasts channel, it's programming, if you will, and its programming reaches us here on Earth. It produces the programming of language and all of these things. Life is encoded in the intelligence of our sun. So it's shining, 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 right? And then suddenly a solar eclipse will hit. And what that means is that the moon goes in front of the sun and it turns off the station of light, turns off the radio. It says, okay, we're going to shut off that frequency now. Why? Because the moon has been circling the planet Earth for a while, collecting information, collecting like a hard drive collects what's been going down, the conversations, the stories, all of the things the moon's been circling. And then it's finally has a planned meeting with the sun. And it says, okay, let's refine and change that light. So it meets with the sun, covers up the light, power out, internet's unplugged, right? And then it passes over. And after March 29th, there will be a completely new frequency of light. And there's a part of you that might not want to go back to that old relationship or job or health story or whatever program you were running in the background of your life. So right now, the most important thing is you're listening and you creating the space for yourself to listen to what this message will be. It's really important to be humble during this eclipse because we don't know what we don't know. And it's usually kind of like this. There's two paths, right? One path you know very well in the jungle and you can walk down that, but it's going to take forever and there's all these things in the way and it's slow and you know that path. It might be clear, but it's also something you've been doing a really long time and you don't get excited when you think about going down that path. You know that there's a lot of obstacles and it's going to move very slow and it's just not going to make you feel energy rich. And then there's another path where you have no idea what will happen. This is vast unknown, this bleached silence, this open space, and anything can happen there. And so, which way do you go? Which way do you go? The solar eclipse and eclipse season overall invites you to the second path because it says if you take the first path, it will be twice as grueling as you think. You will be dragged. You will be dragged back eventually to go into the unknown. But often, our mental body, we want what's safe, what we know. And eclipse season is here to, in ways, unhinge us from that which we know, what is safe, what's comfortable. And on this day of the equinox, of balance, of the heart and the mind, of intention, of flow, yin and yang, we balance all these two sides. You want to fully consider both paths because you have a choice. You have agency right now. This is an excellent time to make a decision, to start thinking about the path. And if you feel uncomfortable going into the second path, the vast unknown, that is completely normal. I mean, welcome to the rest of the world right now. That is usually part of the course for eclipse season. There is stepping into something that is quite unknown. You walk across the bridge falls into the ocean, and then there you are, So, meanwhile, back at the ranch, Venus and Mercury are both retrograde, right? And so there's a couple things here during the retrograde where both the sun meets Venus and the sun meets Mercury at one point. So I wanted you to kind of circle this date onto your calendar. March 22nd, the sun conjoins Venus. Venus is in the beams of the sun. What does that mean? It means that during her retrograde, during your retrospective on love, which we're all in right now, Venus retrograde, the date of March 22nd is very key. It's a day of revelations for you. It's a day of noticing things, observing in terms of love. And perhaps you get a moment of, that's what I've been missing. I've been blocking my heart there, or I haven't been allowing this, or this is my person, or that's definitely not my person, or this is the kind of relationship I am made for, or this is not, whatever it is. That is a day when Venus gets lit up by the sun, and you will be in a place to see more clearly. Now after that, Venus is going to be a morning star. And she's going to rise in the morning instead of set in the evening after the 22nd. So that is an important day to be aware of for the heart and the story of your heart. Now there's another day, because Mercury's retrograde right now too. And the Mercury retrograde, when Mercury meets the sun, it is March 24th. So they come right one after another. And in that inferior conjunction of Mercury and the sun, that is also a day of intimations of the mind. You might be making a connection, connecting the dots. Aha moments will come through. And so retrogrades are full of hidden gems, and the trickster is with you. What I mean by that is that retrogrades want you to take the weird road. You are not meant to follow the signs as you have always been your whole life. You are meant to get a bit lost, as you should during a retrograde. And when you get lost, you don't necessarily need to just jump back as fast as you can on the road. Notice where you are, what's around you, observe, listen to the conversations there, and pay attention to the cues, because I guarantee you will receive messages there. And that is how the trickster of a Mercury retrograde works. You get a little lost, and perhaps you meet somebody on that road, or you see something you needed to see. You get into a conversation that you needed to have for a long time. So lean in to the retrograde. Do not try to jump back on the direct course while it's retrograde. You are meant to go without a map. Okay, your phone died. No more Google Maps. That's fine. Go. Trust your instinct like you did for many, many years. And it will guide you well. You will learn things during a retrograde. I adore retrogrades, as I feel like there are these times where we simply receive all these unexpected gems. And we learn a lot if you listen. So sure, people from the past might come back into your life. They're old mentors, old lovers, people you haven't spoken to in a while. And that doesn't mean that old lover is there to get back with you. It doesn't mean you need to get back with them. It doesn't mean you need to reconnect with whoever it is forever. But perhaps it's reminding you of that part of yourself. And that part of yourself needs a mirror in this moment. I will also mention, because I have a friend coming over soon, so I have to go, but I want to mention one thing before, that also, if you all would like to go deeper into chart synthesis, I mean, a closer, small mentorship group with me, where we not just talk about the planet signs and houses, what Mercury means in the 8th house, though learn how to tell a story, synthesize the chart, learn counseling skills, have guest teachers like master psychotherapists in the room guiding you in courses too. I teach a course once a year called Art of the Reading, and it is more like an intimate mentorship. That has not been announced publicly yet, though I think you could find it in my Instagram, bio.site, if you would like to learn more. And let's see, how are you all doing? I just really wanted to come on the Equinox to check in with everybody and offer up that Equinox meditation, if you like, as we are at the midpoint between the solar and the lunar eclipse as well. How's everybody doing? All right, well, let's see. I'm going to then say goodbye to all of you. So good to see you all now. And perhaps I'll hop on again later. And maybe later we can talk about what this eclipse means for all of the signs. We can do that after we're done purging. We're going to be purging my closet. I have, clothes from 20 and 30 years ago. And it's always a really nice Venus retrograde activity to kind of go through the closet, reorganize, get rid of things, make all these garbage bags. We already started the process in the first day of the retrograde. So it's sort of like a 3-part process we're going through. Anyway, I highly recommend it. Great time to give away old things. Go through your stuff, go through your clothes, go through your desk, clear off your desktop, all those sorts of things. But great to see you all. And I wish you a beautiful and graceful transformation through this eclipse season.